And we are live. This is September 25th, 2013. You are listening to Silence is Compliance on the FBRN Radio Network. And today we have a very special guest, and I'm glad he can make our acquaintance even for a short time. We have Mr. Gerald Celente, the publisher of TrendsJournal. And you could find, if you're not familiar with him, you definitely should be. And if you're listening to this show, I would imagine that you are. Make sure you go to TrendsJournal.com, check out everything he does, because he is, in my opinion, probably one of the world's best international forecaster. And this guy has been on the point for a very long time. Gerald, thank you for joining the show.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Anthony.
So, and I know we don't have a real lot of time, but, there's so much going on right now. Government shutdown, they're talking about October 1st, which happens to be the same day as Obamacare, October 1st. And then I do some research and I look at all these drills that are happening. 386,000 troops or UN peacekeeping troops are in the process of being trained right now. I mean, it really seems that things are heating up in this country and around the world. John Kerry just signed the UN Small Arms Treaty today. So, what do you feel about all these things that are happening? Where exactly we're going from this point?
Well, on the economic front, just to take one thing at a time, we just saw what happened. You mentioned about not signing this bill, the debt ceiling. Last year it was we're going over the fiscal cliff, watch out. Then all of a sudden, hey, here's some sequester. What's a sequester? Nobody knew what it was. And now, we're talking about tapering. Oh, yeah, tapering. Never heard that one before, but hey, throw that one into the mix. What we have to understand here is that we have the D.C. drama queens and the Beltway circle jerks, the same people that you hated in high school and college that wanted to be class president and head of the student council, telling us what to do, how to do it, how to tie our shoes, and blow our nose. These are a bunch of sociopaths, and people are afraid to call them what they are. So what we have are the incompetents and the inepts destroying our nation. And how much more proof do people need before they wake up? I got an idea for you, Anthony. Let's start a war with Afghanistan. Oh, I'm going to tell you, we're going to wipe out them Taliban. Who are they? It doesn't make any difference. We're going to get them because they're hiding Osama bin Laden. Okay, put out your yellow ribbons, wave those flags, let's go to war. I got a better one for you, Anthony. Let's start a war against Iraq. Why? Because they have weapons of mass destruction, I tell you, and they threaten our national security. Okay, guys, go sign up, get your brains blown out, your legs blown off, and your head blown away. Hey, but wait a minute. He didn't have weapons of mass destruction ties to Al-Qaeda. Take it easy, man. We can lie to you any way we want. Because, listen, we lied you into the Vietnam War. Remember that one? Oh, You're too young to remember that. Oh, so you don't remember the Gulf of Tonkin incident, do you? No, it never happened. But that's okay. Killed 58,000 American soldiers. 250,000 took their lives, and we killed 3 million Vietnamese in the process, but that's okay. I got another one for you, Anthony. We're not going to call it a war. We're going to call it a time-limited, scope-limited kinetic action, and we're going to invade Libya. Do you get it?
Yeah.
We got a bunch of people here that are destroying our lives. And people
absolutely.
keep trying to put a rationale on it. How about calling them crazy? These are lunatics that are in charge. Everything they touch, they turn to crap. We could go on to the economy. I got an idea. We're going to kill capitalism. Kill capitalism? How are you going to do that? I got it. 4 simple words. too big to fail. Hey, wait a minute. In capitalism, nobody's too big to fail. I know. That's why we're going to kill it. And we're going to take all the people's money. We're going to tax them more. Everybody's paying more taxes everywhere. We're going to make sure they got crappy jobs. And we're going to give all the money to the banks. And what we're going to do, 400 people in the United States, now they're going to be worth $2 trillion because we're going to give them all of your money. Oh, by the way, that's more than the GDP of Italy. And it's more than the GDP of Mexico. And it's more than the GDP to Canada. But they need your money because they're money junkies. So what we're looking at, what we're talking about now are just details and what's wrong, how is it wrong. We got a bunch of jerks that are destroying our country, but they're not really jerks, they're gangs. You see, you could call them the Bloods and the Crips. We know who they are.
Right.
The guy that grew up, Italian in the Bronx, there were the Bonanos and the Gambinos. We know who they are. And, before that, there were the Schultzes and the Bugsy Siegels. We know who they were. Now we got another gang, but we're going to give them a nice name, and we're going to make them almost look respectable. We're going to call them the Democrats and the Republicans. That's right. They'll steal your money. They'll take your kids' lives and get their legs blown off. They'll destroy the country, and they'll do it for their own craziness. They're a gang, and people don't want to understand that a gang is running and ruining America.
And absolutely, and like Naomi, I think it was Naomi Wolf who said it's almost like being in an abusive relationship where the American people don't want to believe what's happening. And I look at the picture of your TrendsJournal. I think it's the cover, yeah, right here, where Department of Homeland Security patrolling the streets. The surveillance state has arrived. And we're seeing this more and more. There's cameras on every single corner, and it's complete control. I mean, I tell people I can do an hour or 2 hours a day just on police brutality and just straight tyranny, and I wouldn't even be able to cover all the stories. I mean, they're moving that fast, and I mean, I'm doing everything I can to get information out to people, but I mean, I can't keep up with it.
You mentioned the story on the cover photo on the TrendsJournal.
Yes.
It says Department of Homeland Security Police. And there's a little girl and a mother, and it's an Amtrak Union Station in D.C.
Right.
And then on page 29, we had our illustrator, Anthony Frida, who's a world-famous illustrator, do one to correspond with that. And there's a guy in a Nazi uniform with the swastika on his sleeve and a train from the 1940s at a train station. And there's a mother and the husband and the daughter and the little kid.
I'm looking at it right now.
You see it?
Yeah.
How's that for a parallel?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's almost like they're in the same position and everything. This is absolutely incredible. And to the audience, I definitely recommend you going and checking this out. I mean, it's incredible. But if you say this to people that still have their head in the mainstream, you're a conspiracy nut, you're a conspiracy theorist, or it's just not happening. No matter how much you beat them in the head with reality and the truth, it's just not happening. They refuse to accept the truth of what's happening, and there's no way around it.
Some will and some won't, and a lot more people are. And I'll give you an example to make the point. Over 70% of the American people were against going to war against Syria. And I watched hours and hours of House and Senate hearings where Kerry did his best shuck and jive for a tight white man to do. They don't shuck and jive too well. Trying to sell this war. And the American people were opposed to it. People are waking up. This would have never happened before. They were totally against this war. So what I'm saying is a lot of people are waking up. And when I said to you before that what we have are gangs that are running the country and not political parties, this is something that people need to understand. This is not democracy. I mentioned 4 words that killed capitalism: too big to fail.
Yeah.
That's called the merger of state and corporate powers. When you
Fascism.
Right? Fascism.
Yeah.
So fascism has come to America. And the other thing that people really need to understand is this is not globalization. It's multinationalization. You see, Anthony, when I was a young guy, they used to have these things, stationery stores before there were Staples and Office Depot. There were hardware stores before Lowe's and Home Depot took over all the action. There used to be dress shops and haberdashers before Macy's. And there used to be mom and pop shops before Walmart's. There's a story out recently, a couple of days ago, where Walmart's is going to hire 70,000 people because they're having trouble stocking their shelves. They're the largest employer in the United States. They opened up 500 shops just in a couple of years.
Right.
For every shop that they open up, they put out scores and scores of other retailers and entrepreneurs. So what I'm going to do, because all these kids are going to college and getting these worthless degrees, because when they got out, who are they going to work for? They're going to work for one of the multinationals and get a job stocking shelves. So I'm going to offer a course in Stocking Shelves 101. And then we'll bring in some experts, we'll really do the math and have the great theory. And then we could do advanced stock shelving. So what I'm saying is, all people have to do is look around them and they can see where it's going. So how do you fight it? Stay out of these stores. They work on very thin margins. If enough people boycott them, they can't stay in business. Buy local. Stop eating crap. You heard me say this before. Olive Garden's not Italian food.
Right.
Grow your own. Buy local. Farm to table. Spend a couple of pennies more to buy whatever you can locally. Break the chains. Because if you don't break the chains, you're going to be working on a plantation economy in Slavelandia. So people have it within them to change the course of history. But they have to find the greatness within themselves and stop listening to other people to tell them how to think and what to do.
No, I agree with you 1,000%. You made a statement I'm curious about. When you said it's not globalism, it's multinationalism. What exactly do you mean by that?
The multinationals are taking over the country. They're taking over the world. Like I mentioned, Staples. It's a multinational. All these multinational corporations. Look, you just saw Smithfield. I love it, Smithfield.
Right.
They say that in a proper language. Smithfields. Yeah, they just got bought out by a Chinese big pork producer. Who's going to eat this crap? Not me. So now you think, what are they serving up? They're serving up rats in China and passing it off as mutton. Look at the media. We do it on Trends in the News here. We show tens of thousands of pigs floating down the Yangtze River in China that were all poisoned and polluted. Oh yeah, now they're going to end up on in your hot dogs with Smithfields. They're multinationals. They're taking over the entire world, and people are working for them. It's not globalization. It's multinationalization.
So there's you're saying they're taking over the world, and I think that's where I'm getting a little tricked up. Is when you say taking over the world, I kind of think of that as globalization, but you're saying it's multinational corporations that are basically working to achieve the same ends.
Exactly. When you say globalization, it kind of is, it's like a broad thing.
Okay.
Oh, we're doing business with China. Oh, we're making our stuff in Vietnam. Yeah, remember I mentioned before the Vietnam War.
Right.
Yeah, now we're doing business with them. And Hillary Clinton said we're going to defend them if they're in any conflict with the Chinese over those South China Sea islands, right? The people that, we killed 3 million of them, dropped napalm, Agent Orange, those.
Yeah.
Right, so now you talk globalization, you think of Indonesia, you think of Bangladesh. You don't think of the companies.
Right.
It's the companies, it's not the country.
Oh, absolutely. And
that's what I'm saying about multinationalization.
Okay.
It's these multinational companies that are
controlling basically everything. The politicians put the laws in place to make sure that the corporations are taken care of and everybody's a wage slave. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
You see, all the politicians is they're wise guys for the multinationals.
Right.
That's all.
Let me, and I have to ask you this because I know I only have you for a limited amount of time. I want your opinion on this because I'm not really. A lot of people debate on if the Republicans and Democrats are working. Well, it's pretty obvious they work together, but to how much they work together, I'm not sure. In your opinion, do you think it's where they work together completely, or do you think that they're kind of like two rival gangs that, when a third party or any other party tries to come in, they'll come together and make sure they push that party out? But do you think that the Republicans and Democrats, that there literally is no difference in them whatsoever, or are these guys trying to one-up each other?
Again, I've been writing about this for years. I used to call in my book Trend Tracking and Trends 2000, which I wrote 20 years ago, 15 years ago. They're the two-headed one-party system. Every election, what do people say? I'm voting for a lesser of two evils.
Right.
So, Anthony, I ask you, would you go out with a lesser of two evils? Would you do business with a lesser of two evils? Would you hang out with a lesser of two evils? No, but I'll vote for one because I'm stupid.
Right.
I don't mean you. I'm talking in
general. No, I got you.
But
like what I'm saying is, do you think it's a power struggle, between?
It's like running for the president of a country club. One president is going to build tennis courts. The other one, if I get elected, I'm going to make another swimming pool.
Okay.
That's all it is, man.
Right.
It's the same. It's the difference between the Bloods and the Crips, the Bonanos and the Gambinos, the Lanskys and the Schultzes.
Okay, so there is
no difference.
Right, I got you.
They just commit crimes differently, and they have each one of them have a priority on the kind of heist that they want to deal with, pull off, and the kind of criminal gangs they deal with. One may like to deal with the defense industry. The other one may like to deal with big agriculture. Here's the headline out of CNN, the Cartoon News Network. Cruz votes with Democrats. Obamacare fund clears hurdle. He spent 21 hours calling against funding Obamacare. Then Ted Cruz joined the other 99 senators to move forward on a spending plan likely to do just that.
Right.
Is your question answered?
Yeah.
99 senators, and this little piece of crap over here getting all this media, and what does he do? He bends over, sucks up, and bows down.
Right. I totally get that. And, when you go back to the early 90s, I mean, Bill Clinton was impeached for, a blowjob, okay? Now, how do we get to the point, how did the country get to the point where this guy in office now is signing things like the National Defense Authorization Act and, Bush making statements, like you said earlier, he needs to kill capitalism in order to, quote unquote, save it. So how did we get to the point where they have impeached presidents before, but is it just that they have so much power now that they do control all of Congress, all of Senate, all of the courts? Do they have that much power that there's no way that these people are going to get impeached? Because I'm pretty sure these unconstitutional wars, or whatever they want to call them, is a lot worse than what happened to get other presidents impeached. Did they move the ball that far down the field?
No, the whole game is rigged, man. It's just show. They say that politics is show business for ugly people.
Right.
That's all this is,
Well,
just show business.
I agree with you. You could go all the way back to FDR, where he said, don't anything that happens in politics, believe that it happened for a reason. Nothing's a mistake.
Yeah.
So, yes, Gerald, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Everybody, if you just heard him, you see why I wanted to have him on the show, because he's extremely articulate. He understands exactly what's going on, and hopefully some other time I could get him on and we could talk more. He is the publisher of TrendsJournal. You can find it at TrendsJournal.com. Mr. Gerald Celente, thank you very much for joining me here on Silence is Compliance, doing everything we can to try to get real information out to people. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, thank you, and keep up the great work. We all have to do our part if we want to have a brighter future, and we can. So thank you very much, Anthony.
Thank you, Gerald. Have a great
Bye-bye.
Have a great night. Well, there you have it, guys. Mr. Gerald Celente, and man, unbelievable, and man, he just really hits the nail on the head, and the way he breaks it down, and in such a short amount of time. I mean, I would love to get some of the zombies, some of the brain dead zombies that are clueless about what is really going on in the country, and have play something short, because he could bring it home so quick. It's incredible. So I'm very grateful that I was able to have that opportunity to talk to him about that, about a lot of things. And I'm sure you all know that we could have went for hours, but he's an extremely busy person, and I am happy that happened. But I have so much to talk about, guys, and if you want to give me a call and talk about, I'm going to give you a couple topics, and man, I hope I could even cover even half of them. But the number